Here we go.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The acceptance of angels messenger and the acceptance of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guest and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I do like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I'll introduce you to my wonderful guest, Jonita D'souza. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to both of us to connect with like-minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy. And I'm a guide who helps you remember your divine presence so that you can heal your past, find your purpose, create your future to expand your consciousness, understand your spiritual path, get clarity on your next steps, and take charge of your destiny so you can fulfill your purpose in this lifetime. Now, each episode of the show covers various themes of your journey. I'm in a guided meditation or oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Jonita D'souza, about ecstatic resurrection, unveiling the dark feminine. Now, born in India, settled in England, Jonita D'souza is a self-leadership mentor for women, a feminine lifestylist and creators of feminine empress codes, assisting modern-day busy women who struggle with burnout, body love, and authentic expression to reconnect with their feminine and sensual energy using the ancient feminine Taoist Tantric somatic arts, so they can create a lifestyle that is fulfilling, nurturing, and pleasurable. Jonita is also a certified life coach, NLP practitioner, master hypnotherapist, and combines the teachings of Indian feminine mysticism and shamanism in her work, facilitating monthly moon circles, online workshops, and sacred feminine retreats. Now, with testimonials such as connecting with my feminine has helped me to slow down and really focus on what I really want in life. I'm doing more of what I like, and I'm becoming good at saying no to people and things that don't serve me. I was working a lot and juggling between my social life and work and felt exhausted in the momentous of life. Deepening my feminine connection with Jonita's guidance allowed me to learn how to manage my energy and listen to my body. I am still learning. As Jonita says, it's a lifelong practice. The good thing is that Jonita's work is simple and powerful, so it does not add up to another thing to do in my day. And sometimes we all need to have someone hold space for us so that we can hear our hearts speak as we are so stuck in our heads. This is exactly what Jonita does, and does so very lovingly. Being seen, being fully heard, and being fully accepted is all we ever want in any relationship, including with ourselves. This is what Jonita does so wonderfully. Yep, it's life-changing. Yep, it's much needed. Yep, she's lovely too. I wholeheartedly recommend her. She helped me to really listen to my heart speak, well whisper, and I feel so much better already. So without further delay, hello, Jonita, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
I am so glad to be here. Thank you for this beautiful introduction. I feel like I've been showered by all the love. I've almost forgotten all these testimonials, and wow, I'm still receiving and in awe. I did not expect that.
Ah,
I know
that
about me.
that you're welcome. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind everyone watching that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Jonita and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy, and and do say hello. So Jonita, why don't you tell us more about your journey and what is the dark feminine, why we are called to resurrect it, and how can we connect with it?
So many potent questions. So my journey, my journey to the realm of the feminine, I must say, started particularly from 2008, specifically. But I think I was being led to that my entire life. As you said, I am from India, born in India, and I was very privileged to be born in very educated and a highly privileged family in India, where I was given the values that in order for me to be independent, I must be financially free. So that became my ultimate goal as a teenage girl, that if I want to be free, I need to make money. And somehow I think that was my family's idea of teaching independence to women. Nothing to blame them, but that kind of instilled in me that I have to study hard and work hard and get a job and make money, and then I'll be free. And growing up in India in the 1980s and 1990s was a very much, I would say, very tight patriarchal society where I did not feel safe to express myself as a young girl. And also what I was seeing around, although it was never very close in my close vicinity, but I could see the society as a very, I felt very scared and afraid to be out there. So by the age of 21, I studied hard and I became an IT engineer, just like most of the Indians. So, and I landed my first job. I was in this IT company, and there I was, 21 years old, making a good salary. I am making money, but I did not feel independent, and I did not feel free. I did not even know how to express myself, and nobody cared about my expression, anyways, at my work. So it was kind of, it felt like loss. Like, what did I do work hard for? And I really studied really hard in my entire childhood. I did not leave any room for creativity or play or fun. I was a nerd studying, so I felt like I missed out. And on the other hand, I was always also fascinated by Western women. And I must confess that my only influence of Western women at that time was MTV. And so I literally thought when I would see Western women and all the songs and shows, and I would think that, wow, these women are free. They can wear whatever they want. They can walk freely in their streets. They can express themselves. This is the freedom I desire. And so there was this deep desire in me, and a longing, I must say, something like grass is greener on the other side
Yeah.
kind of story, right? And I luckily I had an opportunity to move to London. And I was like, wow, I'm going to London. I'm going to be free. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to be like the Western women. And it was so ironic. I got this job in this IT company, and we were working. I made some girlfriends, and just like, every weekend you would go out for drinks after hard week. And I noticed those women sharing about themselves, like how tired they felt about putting up the facade. Like, they have to look good and always have to be presentable in order to be accepted, in order to be preferred, in order to be loved, even in relationships. And they did not feel free. They did not feel like themselves, at least the circle that I was hanging with. And that made me realize, like, wow, I was under an illusion that Western women are free. And I realized it wasn't about East or West. It's like something that we as women are missing on understanding. Like, what is it that brings us fulfillment? So that became my quest, learning more about womanhood, and the more I asked questions, the more I was put into dark moments of my soul, I would say. Or should I say, do souls have dark nights of the soul moments? Like, it must be the ego, right? Anyways, I had a circumstance where my life came crumbling down. I went into a depressive stage of dealing with the death of my father. So I did not know how to grieve because he was my cheerleader since childhood. And I encountered psoriasis. So my skin was really, really troubled. My health was going down. Relationships were going down. The IT job, money, nothing was giving me satisfaction. And it led me to a quest. I found a Facebook ad which was all about Essence workshop. So it was £10 for this workshop, and I decided to go. It was the best £10 I've ever spent on. And I'll be really quick. So I went there, and it said something about women's circle. let's go and see what this is. It's only 10 pounds. I'm going to sit by the door and I'm going to observe. And if it is too woo woo, I'm going to leave. And I must say about woo woo, coming from India, the goddess culture was always around me, but it never indulged me because it felt more like a religious cult to me.
Yeah.
So, and it just felt like some mythology which was never being practiced. At least I didn't see that in a real time. So I did not feel drawn to it at all. So there I was sitting by the door, and this lady, she said something like, the most important gift you can give to someone is to show them their essence. And the way she said that, it just brought me into tears and I started to cry. And for the very first time, women around me, they just held my hand, both hands, and I cried and I cried and I cried. And for the very first time, no one told me, it's okay, don't cry. And instead, they were like, let it all out. And I did not leave. I sat there crying for the entire 2 hours. And I knew at the time that I need to know more of what this woman is talking about. And that became my journey of exploring femininity. That's where it all began. And here I am.
Wow, that's sort of like, a big journey to come on, the fact that, you started in India and then you've traveled all the way to the UK thinking it was going to be absolutely amazing. And then it's like, oh, actually, women over here have still got the same sort of like issues that though they have over in India. Maybe it's
Mm.
not as brilliant, but then you found that circle, and that is the way, isn't it? When you get guided to the right group of people, the right person, things really start changing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? In India, growing up, there were always fascination to be lighter hair color, lighter skin. And when I got to London, those ladies were telling me that, wow, we like your dark hair and your dark skin. And I was thinking to them about them, what's wrong with these people? Why do they go to solariums and get suntan and sunbathing and like what's going on? There's something missing. Like we try so hard to get what we don't have, and we think that in having that we will feel good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And and that doesn't really doesn't really work. So where did you go from sitting in that space crying? Where did the next part of the journey take you?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I spoke to that lady and I said, okay, I want to learn from you. So I joined her mentorship and she started teaching me divine feminine archetypes and practices. So for me, learning basic feminine practices to connect with the body was becoming so revolutionary. Like I was noticing why and how life was responding to me, and I could now figure out like wow, I am understanding response to life, and how I can move that response and how I can walk with it and how I can even intuit, right? Like so all of these voices that are always within us, but we just don't listen. So so I was learning from this teacher, and I was going back to my social circle and sharing with the ladies, and they were like, all right, she's gone woo woo. We don't want to listen to all of this. So I did not have any one to share this with. And then the teacher suggested me to open up a meetup group, and and find a couple of ladies like myself, and then we can practice together. And that's what I did. So I opened up a meetup group called Exploring Femininity. And soon, within a month, I had over 800 women join in. And I was shocked and terrified. I was like, what is this? I wanted another two women to practice with in my living room. And now I have women writing to me. I feel what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I'm going through something similar. I want to practice with you. And at that time, who am I to tell them anything, right? I'm just learning. And that's why my group was called Exploring Femininity. So my teacher at the time, she said that, you don't have to be fully healed to lead someone. You just have to be genuine in your healing journey, and go through your vulnerability with them and see what happens. And possibly also learn a little bit of facilitation alongside, like energetic practices alongside of holding space. So it just eventually became exploring femininity. The concept just led into workshops, and then finally became my business. And that's where it all led to. I now do online courses, in-person retreats, and all of that. But it was never meant to be. It was just through utter personal crisis and desire to experience this with women.
Yeah, but you often find, don't you, that that's the way the universe works. As soon as you step onto that path, it's like nothing stops it. Everything just keeps rolling. It keeps snowballing, and people come in who can help you on the next step. You find the right connections, and it's like, okay, I'm trusting where the universe is taking me now. It's taking me on this roller coaster. It's taking me on this journey, and I can't get off.
Yeah, and it required so much trust, and trusting the unknown. I think this was something that I had to really learn and hold on to, because my IT brain, my left brainer wanted logic behind everything. I wanted to know, I could only think binary, right? Like this or that, and unknown doesn't exist. Like it did not make me feel safe at all. But that's what life is, right? Like there is no safety. And the more I was doing feminine practices, what I was noticing is this entire community of spiritual people became my new tribe, which was really fun to find a new circle in London, and we would meet up, and it was all about love and light and happiness, and for me, what I was noticing, the more I was doing this healing journey, I was becoming more and more angry and upset. And and it made me feel like something is wrong with me. So I would stay happy for some time, but then those anger emotions, some resentment would come up. And so now working with few teachers, I they told me that this is really common with women. When you start doing the womb work, what you encounter is a lot of anger, sadness, and resentment to begin with. And it is absolutely normal, and there's nothing wrong with you. You haven't lost your mind, and it's not about love and light only. There is the darkness that you've got to understand as the yin aspect of your own being. And and that made me and then explore the cyclic nature of the feminine, and integrate those dark and light emotions in a more holistic way. And hence my love towards the dark feminine wisdom, because I feel that not many women are talking about it from the point of reverence, that this is pure space of creation, and yeah, creation itself. Whereas we are taught that as soon as you do the feminine work, you're going to be sensual and sexy and happy, and everything will be magnetized to you. That's certainly not the truth.
No, it's kind of like, it does get to that point, but you do have to kind of like go through some stuff first of all, because it may not have been in your lifetime. You may have had the most perfect childhood, the most brilliant teenage years, younger years, etc. But it's the past stuff, the hereditary stuff that comes up.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And with the dark feminine, what I also noticed is that the more I was learning dark feminine archetypes, so the divine feminine archetypes, I realized like how much reverence was given to this dark feminine wisdom in all the ancient traditions, whether it's Egyptian, the Chinese, the South American, the Indian, all of those dark goddesses like the Sekhmet, Kali, even Mary Magdalene. They were revered for their dark feminine wisdom, because their way was to mirror us places where we have repressed our own power. And this inquiry felt so true to me, that it led me to this whole exploration of the dark feminine energy. It saddens me when I see on Instagram these days the dark feminine is only about seduction and manipulation and sexy makeup, like dark makeup. But there is so much more to it. There's so much more to it.
Yeah, and of course it's getting that message out to women that there is so much more, and that how, you know, how you can really work with it to actually liberate and free yourself. So how did you sort of like, obviously working with these women kind of like led to that, but how did you kind of like actually take it to the next level? I mean, had you completely sorted out all the dark feminine of yourself, or were you still going through it? You know, how did it all sort of like take the next step?
Um, so I was really scared to talk about this topic and I'm talking 2016 because
Mm,
not many were talking about it. I had just started my company Exploring Femininity, and I used to get a lot of hate emails, especially from women. At the time, femininity was not a very popular topic or happening topic like these days. And so I was really afraid to even mention dark feminine. Like, wow. I did not have the guts. And when I started talking about it in the spiritual community, I felt a lot. I encountered a lot of resistance, to be really honest. And I think I was sharing with you the last time that some of the retreat centers in Glastonbury did not want to rent the retreat centers out to me because of this topic, the nature of the retreat itself. So I was really shocked. I did not expect this. I was all like so happy because dark feminine is literally, it's not shadow work as such, but shadow work you go through your unhealthy traits, whereas in dark feminine you go through places where you have repressed your own power. So you really look into your own repression, and it sometimes is through ancestral imprints or through your own current life imprints. So it involves doing a lot of deep healing womb work, yoni work. And so I was really excited about all of these work, but not many people were interested in collaborating, helping. So it, it was really challenging. And there was this moment between Easter and Good Friday of the 2017, particularly, and I was once again going through a very confused state in my life, and it just hit to me that wow, I am here in this space between death and resurrection. You know, there is this Good Friday and there is resurrection, the bringing back of the light, but nobody talks about the space in between. And the space in between is a really potent place. And in that moment when I had this realization, I had this channeling of Mary Magdalene. I felt like I was just touched by her. And I wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I was guided that on that year to lead a dark feminine retreat. And I was like, no way, I can't. I don't know anything about it. But it all flew through the curriculum, flew through and I presented it to some of the ladies in my group, and I was really surprised that some ladies really resonated with it. And I knew that okay, this is how it's going to be. Not many will understand right now, but many will definitely be intrigued, and these are the people that I want to work with. And it then started from there. I started doing dark feminine retreats, so they were like really small, intimate, like 8 women. And until today, my dark feminine retreats are just 8 to 9 women. So we are really going into and dropping layers of our own masks and our own inhibitions. And one of the things that many talk about is the chaotic and manipulative nature of the feminine. Um, feminine feminine can be manipulative as well,
yes.
right? And really looking at places where we are manipulative to others, but also to our own selves very much. Like I could manipulate myself in the name of self-care and not do the thing that I have to do.
Yeah.
you know so like so really nuances, working with all these nuances led to the evolution of this dark feminine work for me.
Yeah, and and it's very interesting about you say back in 2016, and it's like, people do have this sort of like impression that when you talk about spirituality and everything, everything is like love, everyone, loves each other. Unfortunately, there are some things that people still don't understand about it, and they have their own way of focusing on it. And I'd like to think that that has changed um, over the years, especially after what happened a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
where everything was, people are now sort of like, okay, actually there is more to this. And I'd like to think the spiritual community is a lot more welcoming of different ideas, modalities, etc., because there is no black or white. There is such this multitude of colors and grays and everything, that everything can be can be in the same space.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and acknowledging the polarity, like we don't have to always go one way, right? And I think especially us women, we are cyclic, we cycle, and we cycle with our menstruation time, we cycle with the moon. So all of these is also part of the dark and the light, and it is nothing, like dark is not bad, it's not
No.
ugly, it's not evil, it's not black magic. Black is just dark. I like how Yeshua, in one of the books I read about Yeshua, which was called The Law of Light, and he refers to darkness as the black light. And for me, that's really resonated. Like, yeah, there is information in the dark. We come from darkness. The womb is dark, right? So there's so many goodness that we can really experience when we allow ourselves to face our darkness. And somehow we've become a society that wants to run away from darkness and run and numb ourselves. And darkness also mean like the dark emotions. The moment we feel like, oh my god, I'm having this anger or resentment or some kind of sadness, we just go and numb ourselves doing other things, shopping, Netflix, drinking. We are uncomfortable with the dark, and we got to only experience our darkness, which leads to the light. Like there cannot be just one thing, right? As you said.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be sort of like it has to be more than one thing, to actually to be living, to be having this human experience,
Yeah.
is more than just one thing. We have to experience dark, light, grey, pink, blue. We need to experience every single possibility there is to live a fulfilled life. And that is sometimes recognizing that we have to go deep, and there's not always light and love, that there is some darkness there, but that's, to me, that always is there for you to learn from. It's always an
Mm,
experience to learn and
mm,
grow.
yes, exactly. And the more it's like going to a cinema. When you enter, you cannot see anything, but then your eyes, your retina just absorbs the environment, and then you are able to see more, and then you're able to see in the dark, and you're no longer afraid, you're no longer lost. And that's the whole point in embracing darkness, becoming really close to this unknown, this mystery, whatever dense feeling we are having, experiencing, allowing ourselves to feel that, to see that, okay, well, in feeling it, we are knowing, understanding more of what wants to come through.
Yeah, beautifully said. So going back to that first retreat you ran, Where did you actually find to do it? You know, if Glastonbury wasn't taking you, where did you end up?
Oh, so this was really cool. We This was so good. It turned out so good. I had eight participants, and we couldn't find any retreat centers in Glastonbury. So this retreat was happening during the Samhain time. So I thought it was perfect to work with the death and the darkness and dark feminine. And so we ended up booking a villa right outside of Glastonbury. And that was so good. It was a really big villa, and my husband had come along, and he has been a professional chef, so he
Oh,
cooked for us, all of the ladies. He cooked beautiful vegan meals for the entire 1 week, or all the meals a day, and it just felt like we were supported by the masculine while we were doing this feminine work. And it felt like a homely environment, and I felt comfortable, the ladies felt at home. So it ended up for good. Like, I was happy that we were in a more intimate, home like setting rather than a retreat center.
yeah, no, I have to admit, when I run retreats down in Glastonbury, I always keep it to small groups, but also rather than an actual retreat centre as such, I tend to look for other places where you can maybe have the whole house to yourself, or
Yes,
you've got the space to yourself. That other people don't actually come into, because then you're freer to
exactly.
actually do the work you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, yeah, and it felt so good. Like, you'd wake up in the morning and just come down to the living room that we had created a temple, and we all enter there from our bedrooms and just do our morning practices, and it was just so homely and felt like, wow, this is what I want to be doing more of. So I felt so good to be rejected by some people.
Yeah, it's like you're lost. And that, it's like when I eventually get my retreat property, and other people can come and run their retreats there. It's not going to be, it is, you know, what accepting, and it's going to be, it's what they're running for, for however many days they're running it for.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I think you have to be inclusive, because there's so many different things out, and there's so many new things coming in as well. So it's really great that you actually found that property. So I take it that when you run retreats now, you actually look for homes and places that you can rent rather than going to retreats.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of prefer that. So most of my retreats have been this way, renting private cottages and private villas, and also looking into my husband's availability because he has to be cooking for us,
Of
right? So
course, of course. Yeah, you need a good chef.
yeah, and kind of becomes like a homely affair, the sisters that come in, and I think the dark feminine work is really humbling because you really look into the vulnerability of your own e- of yourself, and drop those ego, those masks out, and we become really tender. So I think having an intimate environment in places like this is really good. We often, and then from those cottages and villas, we take a trip to Glastonbury. We visit the sacred sites. We spend
Yeah.
time there. We meditate. We chant and all of that. But then in the end, we all come back to our beautiful cottage.
Yeah, no, that makes absolutely perfect sense. Yeah, that is definitely the way to do it. So if anyone is watching or listening to this, and they kind of like are having their own sort of like darkness come over them with this, what would you say, how would you suggest they deal with it in that moment in time?
How they deal with their dark emotions.
If it's suddenly they're great, they're fine, etc., and then it's kind of like, okay, and they realize that it's kind of like a dark feminine thing that's coming over, that's coming over them. you know what would be the best way for them to deal with it there and then?
I think getting curious is really important, and also becoming non judgmental of your own conversations with yourself. There's a lot that is revealed when we start to actually listen to ourselves without editing and judging. We get to listen. The dark feminine is always talking to us. She's always whispering to us, telling us, don't do this, don't make this choice, don't eat that, or do this, do that. There's always this dark feminine whisper. This is the voice from the depth of our wombs. It's always happening, but we don't listen. In fact, we prefer not to listen and respond even. So I think listening is really important, the beginning of it, with curiosity, without trying to make meaning of it, because you can then go into spiral. I would say whatever dense emotions you're having, just listen to your thoughts without editing, without judging, because that'll reveal a lot of information. And then I also really highly recommend to seek support. This is a very powerful archetype that really requires space holding. And I couldn't have done this without being held by someone who could hold me while I was allowing myself to go deeper into my dark emotions. So, a safe support system is really, really important to begin with, I feel, because once you start becoming or creating a conscious relationship with your dark feminine energy, then you have the tools to connect on a regular basis through it.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, that makes absolute sense. Then yeah, initially you don't judge yourself or anything like that. You just allow it, and then you find support, because people holding space for you in any work you do is so important, and it makes it so much more powerful when you actually have someone holding the space for you. Yeah, so I think that is so important to have that. So apart from the retreats, how do people work with you? Is it just one-off things, or is it long sessions? How does it work?
I have plenty of offerings. So my lineage is the classical tantra. So what I was able to do while being in London and studying with the teachers here, I was able to connect the dots with the classical tantric lineage and this dark feminine wisdom. And so I have a lot of guided self ceremonies, tantric ceremonies to connect with your dark feminine. These are digital courses, or I can also do this one to one. I also have an upcoming dark feminine retreat in October, the Samhain time. So there are different avenues based on your availability and how much you're willing to invest in yourself and the time as well.
Yeah. So how do you kind of like you know uh work with women? Do you just take them into guide meditations, or is there written work? How do you work with them?
Yeah, most of the work is somatic practice. Somatic, so I like to say it's more like a somatic feminine arts. And why I say art is because you really become a piece of art through this work. Somatic, because we have to begin to understand those signals, sensations from our from the lens of our body, and body's intuition, guidance, wisdom. So most of this work is through breath, sound, movement, and then of course also journaling, inquiry. But most of it is the embodiment through these three pillars: the breath, sound, movement.
Okay, beautiful. So with that in mind, as you know, I do guide meditations and I do angel oracle cards. And each week I like to ask my guests what they would like me to do for themselves and those watching. So Jonita, would you like me to do a mini guide meditation or pull an oracle card for you and everyone watching?
I am feeling drawn to the oracle card reading. I usually give it to people and feel like I want to receive, and I wish the viewers receive exactly what they require in this moment.
And funny enough, I have the cards in my hand. Okay, so let's see what the cards want to say. So, as people may know, when I do the cards, it's what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. because although I do work with the past, when I take people back into the past, it's to learn and heal from it so that it doesn't affect them in the present. And when I take people into the future, it's so they can see, understand, know what steps they take to the future so they come back to the present. So they're not worried, they can be fully present. So what does Jonita and everyone who's watching this live or the replay need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? What does Jonita and okay, so the cards are making me work today. Always like when that happens. So the card that came out is answering the call. The time is now.
Oh dear.
How brilliant is the fact that that card has actually come out? One, with what we've been talking about, but two, it is now time to really step up with what you're doing and really get that promoted out there, to the women who may not realize what's going on at the moment. This is really confirmation that, yes, go out, do it. It's so needed at the moment. And to everyone who's watching, again, whatever it is you're being called to do, now is the time to do it. That gate is open for you, and there is abundance and beauty on the other side of it. So actually take the step, have the courage to go through that, to actually walk your path and to actually do what you are supposed to be doing at this moment in time. So that's an absolutely beautiful card to come through. And I noticed that Graham has joined, finally made it. Brilliant, Graham. We're going to be finishing in a minute, but hey, you got here just in time for the card, which was absolutely perfect. And thank you so much for joining in, because I know obviously we've had people watching. You've all been a little bit shy today, and you've not even said hello to us, but that's fine. You obviously were so enamored by Jonita's conversation, and Graham says hi and hugs to you. Same to you, Graham. And obviously I will see Graham tomorrow because we've got our Angels and Spirits show going live tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. So anyone who's watching, as you know, Graham and I love doing that show where Graham does mediumship and psychic, and I do cards. So do join us for that. So Jonita, do you have any insights or thoughts or last words of wisdom to leave our viewers?
Wow. I'm just feeling into our conversation, and before I can say something, I just want to really acknowledge the fact, right, that I truly enjoyed this space because you held such a beautiful space for this conversation. And there are not many spaces available for this dark feminine conversation. And that's really coming up for me, that find your space. If you are feeling some kind of emotions, dense emotions repeatedly, showing up in your life, it doesn't mean that something is broken or needs fixing. It just means that you need support and remembering. And spaces like this can really help you inspire that in you, through you. So thank you for inspiring that from this space as well.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So if people want to connect with you, Jonita, how do they do that?
Mostly on Facebook. I am available. You can find my name, Jonita D'souza, or Exploring Femininity. And I have a Facebook group, Facebook page there. I post a lot of updates, inspiration, rituals. Or you can also find me on Instagram. Empress Jonita is my handle there. I'm fairly new to that platform, figuring it all out. But yeah, and you can find plenty of free resources, including resources for your dark feminine through there.
Absolutely beautiful. So thank you. And Graham says this too will expand based on the purity of intent and harmony, along with the equality of feminine masculinity.
Mm.
Ab-
Yes.
Absolutely. You have to, as we've been talking about, you have to have that balance
Mm.
all the way through. So, if everyone watching, you're now ready to remember your divine presence and step onto your spiritual multidimensional path, but you feel lost, confused, or stuck, then please feel free to connect with me and we can arrange a free 20-minute video clarity call to see where you are now and how you can move forward to take charge of your destiny so that you can spread your wings and soar. And of course, I will be putting all the links to Jonita's profiles in the comments. You can go directly to her and, of course, find out about the retreat she's going to be running. And of course, I have now just created, well, say created, it's been a long time coming, but I'm now finally ready to launch my 6-week Soul Path Discovery program that will
Ooh.
propel you on your spiritual journey of healing, remembering, and gaining the confidence to walk your path in this lifetime. So if you're interested in being one of the 10 founding members, then
Mm.
please just comment Soul Path Discovery below or in the comments or message me direct. And there are posts going out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter at the moment.
God, sister.
With all the details. Yeah, I've been working on this for a long. It's a long time coming, and that card, answering the call, time is now. Uh,
I miss now for you too.
exactly. And of course, you can receive a free gift of connecting with your guides and angels PDF or a future life regression recording, as well as a couple of other free gifts if you sign up to my email list. And I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny, just like you. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, then please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified of when the show goes live, or I post new guided meditations. And of course, every time you comment, like, heart, share any work I do, any work Jonita does, any work any of my guests do, it really helps get our messages out there. To inspire people to take charge of their destiny, and you can be part of, that web of bringing people that information, that knowledge that could be of benefit to them and help them on their journey. And Graham says, hugs to Jonita and Ray. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And I've no idea, Graham, why you were pleading the fifth, but there you go. So thank you everyone for watching, and I look forward to you all joining me same time again, same place next week. So again, thank you, Jonita, and everyone watching. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Namaste.